Hi everyone, it's Mike here. Today I have a vintage steampunky vibe going on. So today I'm working in my small circle art journal and I've printed out on my computer a large clock which is just slightly smaller than the actual page size itself. So using the Ranger collage glue stick, this is the triangle one, I'm going to stick this down to cover well, obviously the majority of the page. There is just a slight border all the way around. Now I'm just trying to make sure that I get it so that the number 9 is where the holes in the page are going to go. So I'm just going to stick it down with the glue and then just give it a bit of a push to make sure that it's gripped, and then clean off all the excess from my cutting mat. Next up, I'm using the tree branch archival ink from Ranger and one of the circular ink blending foams, and I'm going to just add a brown grungy kind of border all the way around the outside of the circle page. So I'm just going to go around a couple of times just to build up the layers until I'm happy with the colour intensity. So next up I want to add a little bit more texture and interest into the background of the page, so I'm going to use the Art Is stencil from TCW and the jet black archival ink from Ranger. I'm just going to add some of those text effects through the stencil just into the background. Next up, I decide I want to add a little bit more text detail, so I've grabbed the Dinky script stamp from Indigo Blue, and again I'm going to use the jet black archival ink. I'm not going to bother with the block because it doesn't matter whether it's all uneven and not really stamped properly. It's just to add some extra detail and extra texture into the background. So once I'm happy with the stamping, I'll put the stamp away and then have a little bit of a tidy up, and then grab some book text. Now, just a page from an old book. I'm just going to tear some fragments from the page, which I'm going to stick down using that triangle collage glue stick that I used earlier, and just stick these fragments randomly around the page. I'm just placing them down there just to work out where I can put them to best effect. So once all my fragments of book text are stuck down and secure in place, I want to go over the entire page with a coat of sealer. In this case I'm going to use gesso, which is clear, so I'm going to just go over the entire page, just adding that clear gesso all over, completely covering everything. And of course, before we can do anything else, we need to have a quick tidy up and grab the heat gun and make sure it's all nice and dry before we move on. So for my next colour layer, I'm going to start adding in some patches of colour by using my Neo Colour 2s. So I'm grabbing earth tones, so this is kind of like a gold colour, and I'm just going to add some of those tones onto the page and then activate with a a wet brush just to activate them and then start moving the paint around, or well, actually start moving the pigment, I should say, rather than paint, around the page. So once I'm happy with that first layer of colour, I'm just going to grab the heat gun and give it a quick blast just to make sure it's all nice and dry before adding my second colour. Once these are dry, they are permanent. So the next neo colour that I pull out of my stash is a kind of bronzy colour, a metallic-y bronze colour. I'm not sure whether or not the metallic actually shows through really once it's been activated, but I do like that kind of sepia tone to it. So as you can see, I have a baby wipe just down by my right hand where I'm just picking up some moisture from the baby wipe and then activating the colour. This is what I call the not quite dry brush technique. So again, once I'm happy with the colour that's down there, I'm just going to bring up the heat gun just to heat set it before moving on to the next step. Now that it's dry, I can just trim off all those excess pieces of book text from around the outside of the page. So the next layer, I'm using the chicken wire reversed stencil from TCW, and I have the vermilion archival ink, a beautiful red colour. I'm just going to add some little red, I won't say highlights, but some red tones into the background just by adding a few spots of that pattern to add a little bit of depth and texture in the background. So I'm happy with the way the background is starting to look, so I think it's now time to start adding my focal point, which is a vintage photograph from my digital stash that I have on my computer. I've enlarged the image to the size that I want and then printed it using my laser printer. And I've cut it out just with a pair of scissors, and I'm sticking it down with that triangle collage glue stick, just making sure that I get it so that it lines up with the bottom of the page so I can trim off the excess later. So now that my image is stuck down securely, I'm just going to grab that tree branch archival ink once again and the ink blending foam. I'm just going to add a little bit of that brown colour just around the bottom edge of the circle, just so that he tones in with the rest. So I'm happy with the way that ink has blended just at the bottom, and now it's time to seal everything in place. Now I want to add some colour over the top of my laser print, but to do that I need to add just a thin layer of the matte medium, and for this I'm using the Collage Page. This is from Aleen's. This is the matte one, and I'm just going to go over the entire of the image just to make sure that I've got everything. Now because I've used Neo Colours and archival ink, they're all permanent colours, so nothing's going to run. So now the main image is stuck down and sealed, I can add another little element over the top. Gotta love a bit of steampunk. So once his goggles are stuck down and sealed, just give it a quick blast with the heat gun just to make sure it's all nice and dry before starting to add my colour. So these are the Artist Pitt pens from Faber-Castell, which are India ink, which means while they're still wet, you can blend them with your finger, particularly on a non-porous surface, and because I've used the matte medium to seal this image in, that means I have enough time to be able to move the colour around and blend it with my finger before it sets and becomes permanent. These pens are a great way to add colour to black and white imagery. So I'm just going to grab the Scarlet Red Pitt pen just to add a little bit of a pinkish cast to his lips, and also add a little bit of a rosy glow onto his cheeks. So this is the walnut brown one that I've used for his hair. And I'm going to use sky blue and cobalt green to add some colour to his coat. So just showing the camera just a little bit of that colour that's coming through. Now I also want to add some colour to his goggles, so I'm going to use the, let me just try and remember which one I used. He says looking for it in his pot, raw umber. So this is the raw umber that I'm using on the goggles, and then I've just grabbed the, oh, which one is it? The lilac, just to add a little bit of colour onto the glass of his goggles. So happy with the colour tinting, it's time to add my quotes to the page. This is my Damo Electrotag label maker, which I couldn't live without now. I've just punched out the quote that I want to use. I'm going to print it off and then just cut it up into small sections or smaller sections, 2 word blocks. And I'm going to grab the tree branch archival ink again and just to add a little bit of colour around the borders and around the outside before I stick it down onto my page. So using the Pigma number 5 micron pen, I'm just going to add a little bit of a border around those word blocks, just add a little bit of detail too, and then I'm going to call this page complete. So all I have to do once I've added that little border is just to add my signature and the date of creation. And then this page is done. I just so love mixing up vintage imagery with that kind of sepia toned brown vintagey grungy colour palette. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did creating it. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again real soon. Bye for now.